yes, there's a pandemic going on, lots of people are getting sick, lots of them are dying as well. But I know, but then there's also the other side of it as well is, if you're shutting everything down, there's a lot of issues with that as well. And I think even outside of that, where it's like, people's mental health suffers, kids' mental health suffers. If things are going to open up and we're kind of tying things into like going into jiu-jitsu again, in like a post-pandemic world, or even like now, in theory, if you're going to train from your standpoint, like, can you even train? Like, is there a way of doing it like in the safest way possible to kind of manage risk? Like, what's your take on that whole thing?
I one of the things that I found very surprising is that some states allow jiu-jitsu tournaments to run, and then you had people that competed without masks, and they would put on masks off the mat. And then I heard stories of the staff everywhere just being kind of lackadaisical about the whole mask wearing thing at the venue anyway. So again, I don't know how many cases are going to be eventually traced back to that and whatnot. How many jiu-jitsu guys will catch COVID and not really care, because a lot of them are young and a lot of them are just going to have it without any complications. But of course, the other side of the equation is that, yes, you might get to do something that you want to do, but I am aware at least of thousands and thousands of seniors in the city here that were afraid to go get groceries because they do have comorbidities and they can't come out. So my wife was volunteering with a group trying to get just groceries for people. Like, that's all they wanted to do, is just to let people pick up groceries and their pharmacy prescriptions. Since they know that if they do catch it, and the chances are they're not coming out of it alive, and or at least not unscathed. So for me, I would hope that things get rolled out in a way that are responsible enough, and people themselves are just responsible enough to either quarantine themselves when they need to, try to get vaccination as soon as possible to try to prevent spread as much as possible. But at the end of the day, it becomes more of a personal responsibility thing than anything else. You just have to think. You really do have to think about not just what you want to do, but a little bit about what your actions might mean for someone else who is a lot more at risk than you are.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head where you talk about personal responsibility. And I think that's the biggest thing, where it's like individuals have to be responsible to some extent, where it's like, okay, if there's things you want to do, you have to understand where you're going and then what the risks are and then who you're actually interacting with. So if you're going to train, you're going to do rolling, you're going to do X, you're being careful to the extent that, all right, you're putting yourself at risk, but you also have to be careful who you're also going to put at risk moving on forward.
Yeah, and it's who you interact with, who you potentially put at risk. So I personally made a decision that until my wife is fully vaccinated, I am not going to do anything that I feel would potentially put her at risk, whether she has any comorbidities whatsoever or not. It's not important to me. It's not important enough to me, I suppose. And don't get me wrong, I've been doing this for over a decade, and I would love to go back and finally hammer out the black belt one day. But at the moment, it's just not the reality.
Yeah.
So
how annoyed are you right now that Aaron's a black belt and you're not?
Aaron is one of, like, I would say at this point, like a dozen people that I used to compete at the same level, and some of them I would kick their butt at every level.
And Aaron was one of them, but go on.
Purple, and then all of them are getting their black belts, and here I am nursing like a stupid knee injury, and then moving, and then nursing another stupid knee injury, and I'm watching Facebook. I'm like, oh Jesus, really? This guy gets his black belt. This guy.
Aaron,
not Aaron, by the way, not Aaron, but but there's it's quite interesting. Like at a certain point, you kind of want to, like, okay, I really need to go into on the mats and like put in the time and effort to
I need to rectify.
I need to rectify the wrong that has been done.